Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dimitri. So today we're gonna create a function that calculates the capital asset pricing model in Python. Okay, so I have the function here. I'm basically going to calculate this return of the market minus my risk-free, and then I'm going to multiply this by the beta. That's basically the whole formula that describes this model. Okay, so let's start by defining a function. So I'm going to define a function, and this function is going to have a name, so I'm just going to call it CAPM. And what I'm going to need for this is my beta, my return on the market, and my risk-free. So I'm going to have three parameters. So I'm just going to give it a different name here. So let's just call this B, comma, and I'm going to call this M, which is going to represent the expected return on the market, and the risk-free is going to be represented by an F. I'm just going to do it this way, okay? All right, and then I'm going to actually describe my function. So I need to create a formula here. So the formula is going to be my B times M minus F, right? So this is going to describe the same thing that I have here. So this is going to be my beta times return the market minus risk-free. I'm going to store this in a variable. So let's just call that variable model. And then I'm going to return the result of this formula. So I'm going to return my model. Okay, so that's basically it. So I have the function that has three parameters, and this function is basically going to resolve this operation here. All right, let's just pretend that we're gonna call this function somewhere else. So calling the function. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pretend that I have these values, but these values have to be defined as a float. Why as a float? Because these are going to be in this case this is going to be, let's say, 2%, or you're going to have a 10%. So that's going to be a float. We're going to describe it in this way. So we have the input in this way, and the result, we're going to show the result in percentage, for example 10%. So we have three different steps here. We're going to have to transform these variables into a float, and then when we return the model is going to be a percentage. That's going to be the whole idea of the model. So if we're going to ask the user to actually input these variables, I'm going to define a B variable that is going to get an input from the user. So this is going to say what is your beta, for example. Let's just try to make it simple. And then I'm going to have a different variable that's going to be my return on the market, which is going to be M. And I'm going to say, okay, type the expected return on the market. And then I'm going to have my other variable, which is my risk-free, which is represented in F. So I want this to be my risk-free. Type the risk-free. Okay, so I'm displaying a message that is going to get the input, but we're missing something here. So because we're going to get these variables and we're going to take those values as a float, I need to change this input. So I need to say, you know what, this is going to be a float, and this other variable is going to be a float as well. And my risk-free is going to be a float. Okay, so I have three values that are supposed to be float. All right, perfect. So the next step is to call the function. So I'm going to say, okay, I want my CAPM model to be equal to my function. So my function is going to be CAPM and then I'm going to pass the parameters, which are B, M, and F, right? Okay, perfect. So B, comma, M, comma, F. Those are my three parameters. And then what I want to do is I want to print my model. So we're still missing one part, but let's just run this real quick and let's see what's going on. Let's hit Control F5. And we're gonna have a syntax error here. So we need to format this. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So I define the function. Okay, so I need the colon here. This is a part that sometimes people just forget it, like I did. And let's just run this, Control F5. And I'm gonna have a type beta that's gonna be my first message here. Let's pretend that my beta is 5%. Then it asks me for my return to market. Let's just pretend that's going to be a 15%. And my risk-free, let's pretend that that's going to be an 8%. And it's going to give me the result here. Since I want this result to be a percentage, I have to do something here. So in the print function, I'm going to type this. So I'm going to say 0, and then I'm going to have 2 decimals, and then the percentage. Then I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to apply the format method to my variable. Let's just close it. And I should have the the result in percentage. Let's just try to add a message here real quick. So this is the expected, so my ER, that's going to be the expected return of investment. Okay, let's just pretend that that's the result, and if we run this, we should have this value in percentage. We should have 0.3%. So Control F5. Okay, so we're gonna input different values, so this is going to be actually something different. So let's pretend that my beta is 0.5. Return to market is going to be 15%, and risk-free is going to be 8%. Then I'm going to have an expected return of the investment of 3.50. So that's going to be what I need for my model. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys like the video, and I'll see you in the next video.